It's 6:45 p.m. You are sitting in your parked car outside your house. The engine is off. The driveway is quiet. The soft glow of a street lamp hits the windshield. You've been sitting here for 20 minutes, just staring straight ahead. Your jaw is tight. Your chest feels like it is filled with wet concrete. You are exhausted. But it is not the kind of exhaustion that sleep can fix. It is a deep, bone-weary fatigue of the soul. Someone walking by might look at you and think you look calm, collected, in control. But you know the truth. You aren't calm. You are completely terrifyingly numb. You have built a mask, an iron mask. You put it on every morning before you face the world. Before you face your boss, your family, your heavy responsibilities. You tell yourself, this is what it means to be strong, to feel nothing, to let nothing in. You think this is discipline. You think this is Stoicism. You believe that if you just keep your face rigid enough, the chaos of the world cannot touch you. But what if it's not discipline? What if the armor you built to protect yourself is the very thing that is slowly suffocating you to death? We live in a culture that worships a very specific, very dangerous illusion of strength. The unfeeling man, the untouched mind. You see it everywhere. The quotes, the viral videos, the modern interpretations of ancient philosophy that tell you to simply shut it off. Turn off your emotions, ignore the pain, grind through the grief, be a relentless machine. And so you tried. You bought into the lie. Because the pain was too much, and the alternative seemed weak. When the stress at work piled up to a breaking point, you pushed it down. When the betrayal happened, you didn't flinch. When the loss tore a massive hole in the fabric of your life, you went to work the next day and told everyone you were fine. Forged this iron mask, heated it in the fires of your own denial, and welded it to your face. It worked for a while. The world rewarded you for it. People called you reliable. They called you the rock. They praised your incredible ability to handle absolutely anything without breaking a single sweat. But here is the brutal, unspoken reality of the iron mask. It doesn't just block out the arrows of your enemies. It blocks out the air. You sit in rooms full of people and feel entirely alone. You achieve the goals you set for yourself. You hit the milestones, but the victory feels hollow, like ashes in your mouth. You look in the mirror and you see a ghost. A highly functioning, perfectly disciplined ghost. This is the ultimate trap of the false self. You sacrificed your humanity on the altar of control, only to realize that you control nothing at all. Look at your life right now. Really look at it. You don't feel the crushing lows anymore. That much is true. The mask protects you from the sharp edges of tragedy. But when was the last time you felt a genuine, piercing moment of joy? When was the last time you felt a deep, resonant connection with another human being, without a cold, heavy wall of distance standing between you? You can't remember. You have traded the chaotic, terrifying beauty of being alive for the sterile safety of a prison cell. You call it peace, but it is not peace. It is anesthesia. You are practicing death while you are still alive. But it gets worse. 2,000 years ago, someone understood this exact trap perfectly. But it is not the version of history you have been sold. The modern world has hijacked the ancient Stoics and turned them into unfeeling statues of marble. We are told that Marcus Aurelius and Seneca were emotional terminators. Men who felt nothing, cared for nothing, and simply conquered everything in their path. That is a lie. A dangerous, historical lie. You think your problem is that you are too emotional, so you try to repress it all. You think you are failing at philosophy because you still feel the sting of rejection or the heavy ache of loneliness. But your problem is exactly the opposite. Your problem is not that you are too emotional. Your problem is profound cowardice. Let that sink in. You think your numbness is strength, but it is actually fear. You are terrified of the chaotic, untamed forces inside your own mind. Carl Jung, the pioneer of modern psychology, warned us about this exact mechanism. He understood that the human psyche is not a machine you can simply program to ignore damage. When you take a profound emotion, a shattering grief, a burning rage, a deep, isolating sorrow, and you shove it into the dark basement of your mind, it doesn't die. Emotions do not evaporate just because you refuse to look at them. They mutate, they fester, they join the shadow. The shadow is the psychological term for everything you refuse to acknowledge about yourself. Everything you deem weak, ugly, or unacceptable. And when you lock your humanity in the dark, it turns demonic. The grief you refuse to process when you lost that relationship, it didn't go away. It turned into that heavy, unexplained exhaustion that drags you down every single afternoon. The betrayal you pretended didn't hurt you, it mutated into a cynical, bitter wall that keeps everyone who tries to love you at arm's length. The anger you swallowed because a strong man doesn't lose his temper, It turned into chronic tension in your neck, a quiet, simmering resentment that bleeds into your tone of voice and pushes opportunities away. You think you have mastered your emotions. You have not. Your suppressed emotions have mastered you. They operate from the shadows, pulling the strings of your decisions, dictating your moods, and draining your vitality. You are carrying a boiling cauldron of unprocessed humanity, capped by a fragile, cracking lid of fake stoicism. And you are exhausted because it takes 90% of your daily energy just to keep the lid on. You are fighting a war against your own nature, a war you are mathematically guaranteed to lose. The iron mask is getting heavier, the bolts are digging into your skin, the air is running out. You are starting to suffocate under the weight of your own false strength. But here is what nobody tells you. The shift happens here. The ancients you admire so much, the emperors who ruled the known world and the warriors who faced death daily, they did not wear the mask. They knew a secret about human emotion that we have entirely forgotten. In the year 63 AD, Seneca, the most famous Stoic philosopher in Rome, received terrible news. His closest friend, Lucilius, had suffered a tragic loss. Another dear friend, Flaccus, had died. The internet today would tell you that Seneca, the ultimate Stoic, probably told his friend to simply man up, to ignore the pain, to remember that death is a natural process and to feel absolutely nothing. But he didn't. Seneca wrote a letter to his grieving friend, and in that letter he did not say, "Stop crying," he said. "Let your tears flow, but let them also cease." He admitted that when he lost his own dear friend, Serenus, he wept so bitterly that he collapsed. The great philosopher, the man who advised the emperor of Rome, weeping on the floor, entirely consumed by grief. Let that sink in. The founding fathers of mental toughness were not unfeeling cyborgs. They were deeply, profoundly human. They understood that attempting to block emotion is like trying to stop a rushing river with your bare hands. It is an arrogant, exhausting waste of energy. True philosophy is not about eradicating your feelings. It is about eradicating the suffering you add to your feelings by fighting them. The ancient Greeks had a word for this state of mind, apatheia. But modern culture translated it wrong. We think it means apathy, numbness, the iron mask. But to the ancients, apatheia meant freedom from destructive passions. It did not mean freedom from love or grief or righteous anger. It meant you feel the emotion completely, but you do not let it drag you into the abyss. You do not let it turn you into a monster. But that is not even the real lesson. The real lesson is something far more disturbing about your own mind. When you put on the iron mask, you think you are starving your emotions. You are actually feeding them. Carl Jung called this the rule of the shadow. What you resist persists, and what you repress grows in the dark. Every time you swallow your grief, every time you force a cold smile when you want to scream, you are taking raw, combustible energy and packing it into a pressure cooker. You are not being strong. You are building a bomb inside your own chest. Strength is not the absence of heat. Strength is the forge. Think of the master blacksmith. He does not fear the fire. He needs the fire. Without the extreme heat of the furnace, the steel remains brittle. It snaps under pressure, just like you do, just like the iron mask does. Your emotions, your deepest grief, your sharpest anger, your profound loneliness, they are the fire. You must step into the heat. You must allow yourself to burn. Look at Marcus Aurelius. He is sitting in a military tent on the frozen frontier of Germania. It is deep into the night. Outside, the wind is howling. He is fighting a brutal war he did not start. His body is failing him. And he is writing in his private journal. He is not writing about how tough he is. He is writing about how much it hurts. He lost his children. 13 of them died before adulthood. 13 times the most powerful man on earth had to stand over a tiny grave. Did he wear the iron mask? No. He wrote about the fragility of life. He let the grief pierce him completely. He allowed the fire to burn. But he did not stay in the fire. He felt the agony, he processed the wound, and then he stood up and ruled the empire. He let the pain pass through him like a blade through water. And this raises a question that philosophers have argued about for centuries. What is the true nature of an unbreakable mind? It is not solid iron. Iron rusts. Iron shatters when struck with enough force. True strength is like water. The ancient Taoists built their entire philosophy on this single terrifying truth. You must become entirely fluid. When tragedy strikes, you do not brace for impact. You do not tense your muscles and grit your teeth and pretend it didn't hurt. You open the gates. You let the sorrow flood the courtyard of your mind. You feel it all. The crushing weight, the burning sting. You surrender to the reality of the pain. Because only when you stop fighting the current can you finally learn how to swim. And once you see this, you cannot unsee it. The energy you are wasting right now, trying to maintain that rigid, emotionless facade, is staggering. It is the reason you wake up exhausted. It is the reason you cannot deeply connect with your partner. It is the reason you feel a low-level, humming anxiety underneath every quiet moment of your day. Your brain is desperately trying to keep the vault locked, terrified of what might happen if the heavy steel door cracks open. But the vault is a lie. The things inside the vault are not monsters. They are just fragments of you. They are the parts of your humanity that you abandoned because someone, somewhere, convinced you they were weak. The boy who was told that crying is for cowards. The man who was told a provider does not complain. The leader who was told that showing doubt is a fatal flaw. You locked them all away. And now you wonder why the throne room of your mind feels so incredibly cold and empty. You have to take the mask off. You have to reach up with both hands, grab the heavy iron that has been suffocating you for years, and rip it away. It will hurt. The light will burn your eyes. The rush of cold air against your exposed skin will feel terrifying. You will feel vulnerable, unguarded, and violently alive. But that vulnerability is the exact price of sovereignty. True power does not come from hiding your wounds behind a shield of fake indifference. It comes from bearing them openly and refusing to be destroyed by them. Now, pay attention. This is the part that matters. The medicine is bitter, but it is the only thing that will cure the rot. First, you must stop running. When the heavy, sinking feeling hits you in the chest, do not pull out your phone. Do not turn on the television. Do not pour a drink. Do not reach for the mask. Sit perfectly still. Let the silence deafen you. Let the emotion rise up like a dark wave. It will feel like it is going to drown you. It will not. It is just a feeling. It is a ghost, and ghosts only have power in the dark. Look the feeling directly in the eye and give it a name. Say it out loud if you have to. I am terrified. I am grieving. I am so incredibly angry. The moment you name it, you strip it of its demonic power. You bring it out of the Jungian shadow and into the light. You realize that you are not the sadness. You are the sky. The sadness is just a storm passing through. The ancient Stoics understood this mechanism perfectly. They called it the discipline of ascent. When a massive wave of grief or anger hits you, you do not fight the wave. But you also do not have to tell yourself a tragic story about the wave. The pain is just pain. The suffering only begins when you add judgment to it. When you say, "This pain is going to destroy me," or "I am weak for feeling this," drop the judgment. The pain is not your enemy. It is a messenger. It is your own mind telling you that something in your life requires your immediate, undivided attention. When you lock the messenger outside the gates of your fortress, he doesn't leave. He sets up camp. He builds an army. He lays siege to your mind from the outside. So, lower the drawbridge. Let the messenger in. Listen to what the grief is trying to tell you about what you truly value. Listen to what the anger is screaming about your crossed boundaries. Listen to the loneliness. Once the message is delivered, the emotion loses its desperate urgency. It begins to dissolve. Then, and only then, do you take control. This is where the alchemy happens. This is where you take the raw, chaotic energy of human suffering, and you throw it into the forge. Did you lose someone you loved deeply? Good. It means your heart was brave enough to risk total devastation. Did someone betray your absolute trust? Good. The blindfold is off. You can finally see the board clearly. Did you fail completely in front of everyone? Good. The fragile ego is dead. Now the real work begins. Are you consumed by a quiet, burning rage at how your life turned out? Good. Stop suppressing it. Direct it. Use that intense fire to burn down the habits that put you in this prison. Use it to carve an entirely new path. You do not need to be a stone. A stone is dead. You need to be the fire. Every obstacle they throw at you, every rejection, every moment of profound, breathtaking loss is fuel. The iron mask was starving you of oxygen. The fire consumes everything and simply grows brighter. When you finally drop the armor, people will notice the shift. They will not see weakness. They will see something far more intimidating. They will see a man who is entirely, unapologetically whole. A man who does not flinch at tragedy because he has already faced the darkest corners of his own mind. You become dangerous because a person who is no longer afraid of their own pain can no longer be manipulated by the world. The things that break other men will only sharpen your blade. So tonight, when you pull into the driveway, when the engine cuts off and the soft glow of the street lamp hits the windshield, when the quiet settles in, you will not grip the steering wheel. You will not feel the wet concrete in your chest. You will breathe. You will reach up and you will finally take off the iron mask. Let the cold air hit your skin. Let the reality of your life wash over you with all its chaotic, beautiful, agonizing weight. You are strong enough to carry it. You always were. Sleep well. The war against your own nature is over. You are out of the prison. You are safe inside the walls of your true self.